Hey, today I want to talk about a film called The Vigil. It's a 2019 horror film directed by Keith Thomas and is his directorial debut. Now, for a first time director in his first time film, I think this is a very strong start, and I think I'm going to look forward to the other works that Keith Thomas has been doing or will do in the future. I guess that says a lot about that film. But The Vigil actually has sort of a prelogue where they make you understand what vigil is, even if you don't know. In Jewish cultures, when somebody dies, a person actually has to sit vigil and like pray for that pray for that person so that they can protect it from evil and just keep that whole thing very harmonious. Now, in the first title card and even the trailers on the marketing ads, it actually says that even if somebody doesn't have any relatives, they usually hire people to sit with the dead body. And when I heard that premise, I'm like sold, because that seems like a very potent ground for a very good horror film. And this film does not disappoint. It actually works on many different levels. But even if we like talk about the horror aspect of it, there's a main character. He goes to sit vigil in a house, and then weird things start to happen. So that's your like basic horror elements. Now, there are not a lot of jump scares in this film because it's not that kind of film. Though there are a substantial amount of what do you say, like cathartic moments or horror sequences where things happen, or just you get engaged and drawn into it. So that's a very good thing about this film. And this is a 1.5 hour film, and it's not boring. It's actually well paced, and it doesn't drag on or waste your time, because when the whole film is actually set in primarily one location, you get the obvious urge that it might feel claustrophobic or things might start to drag on. But this film does not, because it starts to get its thing rolling, but by surreal imagery and by talking about things that are much deeper than horror. This film actually directly addresses trauma, more specifically post-traumatic stress that many of us feel, and the kind of guilt that we harbor our whole life, and how that guilt can haunt us in not only our lives but psychologically, and sometimes it can also manifest physically or spiritually or in like supernatural, paranormal way, whatever you want to call it. So in that way, this film has actually very different layers. It is a very well crafted and layered film, because anybody who has felt grief or harbors any kind of deep guilt, which I think a lot of people are, you will definitely resonate with this film. You will understand what this character is going through or how you might feel, because at a certain point, you sitting with a corpse or just being accompanied by in a creepy house where creepy things are happening, that's not the worst of your worries. There are other things to worry about, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself, and the kind of guilt and trauma that you might harbor, if you cannot move past it, that's actually what makes Vigil so interesting. So in that regard, I believe that it's a very well written, well paced film, and if you have 1.5 hours, you should definitely watch it, because I think it's a very underrated film and not a lot of people are talking about it. So I think you can definitely watch it. And even if you don't like the horror aspect of it or anything in particular, I would just want you to take away this from this film, is that this film is actually tries to convey the meaning of guilt and how it might haunt us for the rest of our lives, and how we should just confront it and move on with our life.